Hello guys, I'm Shockwave King, and I'm back here once again. And you can see the title of the video, Hajime Ippo What If? The Grim Reaper of Tokyo took on the Rocky Tiger from Naniwa. Yes, what is Mashiba when against Sendo? And it was quite odd how this video came to me. I don't know, I can't remember exactly where. I just randomly just like, what if, now I'll think about some type of, like making some type of AMV for Mashiba because of this one song. And I was just like, what if Mashiba actually beat Sendo in the Eastern Conference and went on to fight went on to fight the case of Sendo? And some might say, well, why don't I do like a current matchup between Sendo and Mashiba? Because well, in this case, for this video, maybe I might make it some other type of video about or put it late in the video what I think about the current Sendo and Mashiba. But for the olden days, there'll be a Mashiba who's won the Eastern Conference and Takeshi Sendo of the Western Conference. In this case, Mashiba will have a busted elbow, and maybe that might get healed up before the match. But let's say it does. I don't know who will win this fight. It's a very interesting encounter because we both know about Sendo and Mashiba himself. Mashiba's a long-range machine, slicing and dicing up with his slice with the hookers, then crushing and pounding your face in with the sledgehammer, the right cross, the chopping right. And we have Sendo with the smash and super smash and his close-up mid-range pressure. And that's the thing, compared to like this early Sendo and later Sendo are two different things. Like a later Sendo that fought Ippo for the Japanese championship did have a better defense, he did have a better guard. But then again, Mashiba wasn't the same fighter either, and had to move a weight class and beat Ippo. So in this case, Mashiba would not have to move a weight class. He beat Ippo, and he just beat up Mashiba that just went on. In that case, it's just like, you also bring the question, this is before Sendo actually had the dash they used to get together. And that was the case, how would Sendo actually deal with trying to get past Mashiba's endless machine gun barrage of flickers? It's not like Sendo don't use a guard at all, but it's just with his fighting style is so lackluster, he might well not even have one. And not that fact that he doesn't have a defense, it's just the fact that half of the time he don't choose to use it and get punched in his face. And somebody, so I don't see why Sendo's been fighting like this against Gonzalez. This has been his game plan from day one. Even before Ippo fought him, he was looking at the boxing magazine with Sendo. He was just like, his defense is weak, but his attack power is just ruthless. So it's like, what do you expect? It's the way Sendo's always been. It's the way Sendo's always fought for like a long time. But as for Mashiba himself, the flickers and the chopping right, it's a very interesting matchup because I can't really say right off the bat who would just definitively win. Sure, we had this whole idea, what if, you know, Mashiba lost to Miyata and Miyata beat Ippo and he fought Sendo. Sure, but in this case, it's Mashiba versus Sendo, and it's just, I don't know, it's a very interesting matchup between the two because it's just like, they're not really as developed, so if Sendo can find a way to get inside and open up Mashiba's chin, and that's the thing. One of the most underrated things about Mashiba itself is his endurance. Like, he can take a lot of damage compared to another kid. He's not Sendo, of course, but it's just, compared to the average Joe, and even arguably Ippo, I believe that Mashiba could take more damage than most. He's not a punching bag or a sandbag like Sendo is, but it's just, he has taken his fair bit of damage over the years, especially get that especially get that fight against Ippo. Just taking body blow at. How do you fight a man with with one broken hand and one fully functioning left hand? Ippo was still throwing punches with both hands. Mashiba pretty much turned into guts and just started fighting Ippo with just one hand. Just pure perseverance, endurance, and just like he just didn't care. For Kumi, I'll go all the way. No more when me and my sister have to be shamed and live poor anymore. And that's also another thing. Mashiba also has another advantage. If Kumi would be there for the match, if Mashiba hears Kumi, then I don't know how he would react. Like, this is still during the early days where just pure madness would be like, I don't care who it is, I don't care how it's done, I don't care who gets in my way, you step in my way, I will kill you type of Mashiba, going all the way for a better life for himself and his sister. So just in that case, he might have Sendo on the motivation department, but then again, this is the case of Sendo. And in that case, if the children are there, that could just nullify any effect that Kumi could have on Mashiba. Because if Sendo get juiced up, even if Sendo get knocked unconscious by Mashiba's chopping right, Sendo would keep on punching until the bell rings. And it just comes down to the question, can Mashiba deal with the caliber of punches from Sendo? Because eventually, Sendo's going to get in. Even with early Sendo, no matter how many times you hit this man, he will get in close range. No matter what. So Mashiba can throw as many flickers as he wants. And sure, this is a Sendo before he had the dash. But even then, it's just, Sendo always finds a way. One way or another, he'll eat as many or more punches as Ippo to get the job done. So it's even from the early days. So it's just... and that's still a thing. I don't care what anybody says also. Sendo will always hit harder than Ippo. I don't care what anybody says. He has a track record that Ippo does not have. Sure, do they fight two different ways? Yes. And he's especially with pulling out against with Ricardo Martinez when he fought Alf, and how he's just like Ippo build up to his hard punches. Sendo doesn't. He just throws out a 10 right off the back, and if you go down, you go down. If you don't, you don't. That's pretty much how Sendo be operated from day one. It just is how he is. It's just who he's been his entire boxing career. I hit you as hard as I can. You stand up, we gotta fight. If you don't, then that's too bad. And then there's also like another thing. How would Mashiba deal with the Super Smash? Sure, the anime version looked different from the manga version, and arguably you could say that final smash he did against Gonzalez was a Super Smash, but I can't confirm that. I cannot confirm that. But the Super Smash is a punch that Sendo did like once in the first fight and never did bring it back up. But overall, it's just how Mashiba deal with a punch that you can't see. This is pre Dragonfish Blow Kimura Mashiba. So it's not like he's just be like the first time he would see it, he'd be able to stop it. Sure, Mashiba is tall. Sure, Mashiba has the range. But if Sendo just get out of range and just blah, could Mashiba be able to block it? Could Mashiba be able to withstand it? Cause at least Ippo blocked it, but it still seemed like it went through his guard until Ippo finally chose to use this right. But with Mashiba, I don't know. If Sendo's like a 95, I say Mashiba's endurance is at least like an 89. Like across the board, he could take some heavy punishment. He could take some headbutts. Like throughout, like there's a certain period of time, especially against arm rushing bullfighters, where Mashiba just. The later Mashiba would just take headbutts and just punches and all type of combinations, and he would still be there. Now, actually, now I think about it, I give my thoughts and opinions about the later Mashiba versus Sendo. I give my thoughts and opinions on that. But for like the early Mashiba versus Sendo, the rookie champs, the East versus the West, Osaka versus Tokyo, I don't know, it'd be a very interesting matchup. Because I can't really give a definitive answer since they both fight so differently. Sure, and that's the thing. The coach pulling out that Ippo and Sendo do not punch the same. They're working similar ranges, but Sendo has a Freddy Gonzalez range. He's a mid-range in-fighter to a certain degree. Freddy Gonzalez is a mid-range outboxer that can also in-fight. But Sendo's a purely mid-range in-fighter who just sets up the smash and just clobber somebody's face in. That's the difference between Ippo and Sendo. They're both in-fighters, but their ranges are different. So technically, unlike with Ippo, Sendo would not have to get in as deep as Ippo had to, since Ippo fights so close, so deep inside the pocket that he has to find some type of indefinite way. So then again, you could argue that Sendo has a better range than Ippo to a certain degree. Maybe 1 or 2 inches, or maybe the range is the same. I can't technically recall it, but who knows? It's a very interesting matchup. A very interesting matchup indeed. I don't know who to run that Rookie Championship, because they'll be both pushing each other to the limits, especially if they can both still hear the crowd. Sendo's endurance and perseverance versus Mashiba's flickers and chopping right. Who would hit the man first? Because, like, that's the thing. I can't really want to say, oh, since Sendo, what he did against Gonzalez after he took all them punches that wasn't flickers, that, oh look at that. Alright. So it's just, yeah. It would be an interesting subject of how that would turn out, because it's just, the fighters are so different. Because it wouldn't be like a rehash of Ippo versus Sendo. I don't think Sendo would really want to risk his hand and just go by the basic game plan of, all right, guys, we're just gonna try to hit him at the body, and hopefully switch up to the chin, and it's really bland. We done did it. That's not the way it's Sendo. That's never been the way Sendo has been. So it's just, I don't know what type of plan Sendo's coach himself would come up with against Mashiba. Maybe not do a similar thing. Maybe they won't. But as soon as Sendo get mid-range, and he starts throwing out the smashes and the combinations uppercut, it's just, if Mashiba get trapped in a corner, he's done for to a certain degree. It's just, unless he can get out of it, he's just gonna be eating punches like there's no tomorrow. So it's just, that fight is a very interesting matchup. But I'm about to go back to what I said. Now to the second half, right? I was not planning to be in the second half, because now it has become more interesting. Because this is a Death God slaying Sendo versus Mashiba. Now we don't know what Mishiba's ranking is, or if he fought the number 2 guy in the lightweight class or not. So who knows? But this is a pretty strong Mashiba. This is a Mashiba with no infighter weakness at all. 10 times better, 10 times stronger. Like, there is no way you can truly dominate Mashiba currently inside the pocket. That's just not happening. You saw what happened with Shinobu. You dodged the Chapin right. He gonna come at you with the uppercut. And then, like, towards the end when he was destroying Shinobu, and he threw out that feint with the flicker, and blam, landed the right straight into his chin. He was tearing into him. He was pounding his face to the hamburger left, right, left, and right. It was fantastic. It was a magical moment for Mashiba. It's one of the best moments of Mashiba to date. And that Mashiba is totally different. But on the same hand, Mashiba has gotten stronger, and his flicker is just, that full part flicker is just beastly. It's like he's letting off shots from a machine gun, just tearing into Shinobu's face left and right, turning Shinobu into a hamburger. I mean, it's just like, that Mashiba is a different breed, but from that same exact merit, the later Sendo is not the same animal from a Rookie King tournament. He is not a Sendo with the cross arm guard, a Sendo with the crouching stance. Are you serious? Would the flickers even get through at Sendo with the crouching stance? Is that even possible? Is it possible? Is it? Because it's just like Mashiba's not the only one who evolves. Mashiba's not the only one who's evolved to destroy the arch enemy. Mashiba's biggest irritation are the infighters. Sendo's biggest irritation, the outfighter. It is the perfect matchup, and I'll pay pay-per-view for this. I thought the early days would be better because it's just, I didn't really think about the later half. I was just thinking about really at the Rookie King tournament. But now that I think about it, the later fight is even better. Because how would Mashiba deal with the crouching stance? How would Mashiba deal with Sendo's southpaw smash? Or the fact that Sendo can easily dodge in deep into the pocket, similar to Ippo can, but at a much closer range. We've seen what he done against Sagetta. We've seen what he done against the likes of Frederick Gonzalez with his dash in, and he can do it at the same time as you throw a punch. Compared to before, this is not the same animal anymore. They both evolved. They both became better. But who would win? Mashiba with the regular jab, with the flicker jab, with the heavy artillery jab, with the infighter killer. It's just the combinations. It's just they got too many weapons in their arsenal. Now, sure, there is one detriment towards Sendo, and that is most of Sendo's arsenal might not be useful. Might not. There's a chance because most of that arsenal is used purely for infight. Besides from that whole dash thing, the dash thing is universal, but for like the super smash or like the southpaw smash, Sendo has not really used that ever since he fought Ippo, because when you just fight outboxes, you don't really need that. So maybe if Sendo's able to push it deep into the pocket, he's able to get Mashiba across, get close to the corner, then he may be able to pressure him, and then he'll be able to use things like the super smash and things like that. But who knows? Because even then, he wouldn't have to dash deep into the pocket. We could just use the crouching stance he used against Miyata, the dodge, the flickers. Which it depends. It depends if he can telegraph the flickers, like he can telegraph Miyata's jab and his counters. If he can, and if he can't punch from no intuition like a Frederick Gonzalez, like Ricardo Martinez does with his jab to a certain degree, the whole sparring session he had with Miyata, if he could do that, what type of damage could Sendo do in close range? And that's the only problem where it shows up to me, because it's just like, sure, Sure, Mashiba could hold him back. Mashiba got some incredible long-range potential. But my whole thing has always been, it's just, when Sendo gets into the pocket, what would Mashiba do then? Because sure, Mashiba does have some infighter specialty. Sure, he does have that. But this is Sendo. Sure, he's not as technical as a fighter as Ippo is when it comes to this is my range, this is my domain, this is where I live and breathe at. I've been fighting outboxers all my life. Sure, Sendo's not the same way, but at that same merit, when Sendo gets into the pocket, most people do not survive. Most people do not make it past round 1. So it's just I don't know. There's just too many factors in this fight. There's too many abilities. There's too many. I thought the rookie. Maybe I thought the whole video, the Rookie King one, would be more simpler to analyze and put together, since they have like a weaker arsenal. Well, have less tools in their arsenal. But the later fight is more interesting because it's just like it's similar, but they both evolve to destroy their direct opposite, the direct competition. Mashiba is pretty much an infighter destroyer, and Sendo is pretty much an outboxer destroyer. So it's just like having these two long range versus mid range battle out with each other. Can a semi-automatic sniper rifle truly beat out a close range machine gun? Is it possible? This is quite the matchup. I was not expecting to get this wrapped up in the video. George done dropped another chapter. I'm like, damn it, George, it's not even next week yet. Damn it. Damn Transcan. I don't know what's been happening, but it's just I don't know, man. I don't know. This has gotten way more interesting than I thought it would be, because there's just so many possibilities. There's this and there's that. And somebody said, what about the scuffle they had in the locker room? That's not boxing. That's a street fight. That is nothing compared to the now more calm, the more tame, the more refined animal that is Champion Mashiba. So it's just like, even then, even Sendo has a soft state where he's not. And plus, we haven't seen Sendo go berserk in a while. The last time we seen Sendo go like berserk, like even against Alfredo Gonzalez, he was still quite normal. What I mean by berserk, it's like the whole scene what happened when Ippo versus Sendo 2 for the Japanese Championship, where it's just like he just kept piling on the punches for Ippo. He was not letting Ippo out the corner. He was not going anywhere. He just kept laying on to him, just back to back, like a relentless tiger, like an animal. He just was not stopping. He was like a beast. He just kept hitting him towards the corner, to such a point that at one point he actually broke Ippo's willpower. Sure, he got it back, because you remember the Dante fight, but how many people can put on their resume? Now, even Alfredo Gonzalez, Malcolm Gecko, Wally, or everybody else could not break Ippo's will, but somehow Ippo does. And somehow Sendo does. In the corner, Ippo just like, why am I even fighting anymore? I could just lay down and just stop. Wait, what? But then again, he is still going against a better Mashiba, because the biggest trump card towards Sendo, especially whether it take place in Tokyo or Osaka, is Sendo's diehard fan base. So it'll be another crowd war between, instead of having Makaneuchi, it'll be Sendo versus Mashiba in the crowd. Mashiba's Hell Squad versus Sendo's Rocky of Nanyo Squad, going back and forth. The arena will be going ballistic. Who would get more power from the crowd? Sendo's a veteran at it. Sendo can go unconscious and still fight. But Mashiba, with his new review crowd, he's more calm, he's more stable, he is more tactical compared to the way he was before. And technically, can he still turn into a demon without fouling? Could we see a demon form of Mashiba that want to get somewhere more, but refuses to foul because of his career? Because his dream is so close to the World Championship, he don't want to risk it. Is it a possibility? How would this match turn out? There's too many variables. Because we're not saying merit. Sure, Sendo got incredible punching power from left and right hand, but can Sendo actually survive a chopping right? Now he was hit by one of Mashiba's uppercut inside the locker room. Now, the only thing with that is, can we confirm that was a live uppercut? Like he was trying to actually take Sendo's head off, where it's just a lovely, just you get what you get, bitch. You get what you get. So who knows? Who knows? Because we don't know if that was a live punch, a live uppercut from Mashiba or not. Since they were in the locker room, it says Sendo technically messed up his hand and further broke it, which is also funny because Sendo's knuckle drop. I forget about the knuckle drop and the clenched fist. Cause like, how would Mashiba deal with close range Sendo when he pulls out the clenched fist? Like, what do you do against the clenched fist? The ultimate Indian burn. What do you do against such a technique? How do you deal with such an animal? There's so many questions. There's so many questions. And from that same merit, could Sendo survive a chopping right from Mashiba, who's based off the Tommy the Hitman Hearns, one of the most monstrous chopping rights the world's ever seen? Who would win? And could Mashiba's chopping right beat out Sendo's left hand southpaw smash? Like the exchanges, the dual exchanges, the close range encounters, there's too much to gain from a fight like this. There's too much. This is why I must recommend we need to start a petition. George, put this on pay-per-view. We need to see this. This is too good. Because the possibility are endless of how this fight could turn out. Actually, I'm about to say sorry, because if you got offended about why I was talking about current Sendo and Mashiba at the time, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, because current Sendo and Mashiba is a much better ordeal than later Sendo and Mashiba, and it's just, my God, it's so many possibilities. They got so many weapons into their arsenal at this point, because it's just like, could Super Smash Sendo, can a Super Smash even hit Mashiba, since Mashiba does have a greater sense of range and attack that he cannot see with the whole lot. Sure, he has experienced the Dragonfish blow, but every time Kimura used it in their match, he got hit by it right across the jawline. But when Shinobu tried to use it, of course he didn't get hit. Now you can make an argument that Shinobu didn't have the same drive or dedication for him to clearly use it. A person can argue that. You can argue that he was using a less efficient, weaker version of the Dragonfish blow. Since Kimura just like would wait for 5 minutes. I've been waiting for 5 years. The amount of punishment Kimura was willing to take, all just to show people that he could actually become champion. And remember, this is the same Kimura who was shitting bricks when he first found out that Mashiba was going to be in the same weight class as him. And the fact, I love the entire build-up. This is why I love Kimura. Because Kimura just like, the amount of punishment, the amount of pain he's willing to put himself through, even going against Mashiba, it's just like, there's so many things that can factor into this fight with Mashiba versus Sendo, especially current day. It's ridiculous. There's so many factors, there's so many extra techniques, there's so many ways Sendo and Mashiba can both counter each other. Cause seriously, cause like, we haven't seen Mashiba actually like go unconscious and have the crowd keep him going, or he get any type of power from the crowd like Sendo can. Especially when Sendo get fired up and heated, like we see against Gonzalez. Ippo's like, don't let him calm down, Hoshi. Hurry up and put that table on his wrist. What's wrong with you? You lost your mind. And he was just like, that's when you knew that Sendo and Ippo were some of the greatest of friends. The greatest of friends right there. But it's just, even though Mashiba does have a crowd now, even though Mashiba is now more accepting, he's more open up, like his coach predicted what happened against when he fought Kimura, that on the world stage you'll realize that it was truly you who changed in the end. Now he didn't say those exact words, but it follows along the line of that premise to a certain degree. But it's very interesting either way you look at it, because there's so many factors, there's so many ways you can look at it, there's so many things you can apply at one singular time that is just like, honestly, what I done broke the game. Honestly, just like, I want to know who do you guys got for this fight? Cause this, I can theorize and speculate all I want all day, but it's just, you honestly, if you look at it honestly, like how do you match something up like this? Like, I would not be the person, want to be the person in the scorecards. We thought Vorg versus Sendo was an excellent fight, but let's be honest, it's just like that could just be two children fighting in the playground compared to what, two animals, the death god of Takuya versus the Rocky Tower of Naniwa. Like, really? The current day version, Sendo hand get fully healed, Misha was in the best condition, and it's both before they go against for the world title. Like, are you serious? Not sure. Some might say you only as good as your last fight, and oh, Mashiba only fought Shinobu. Shinobu was strong in his own right, but obviously Shinobu had no reason to be in the same ring with Mashiba. And it was really just the fact that it showed that Japan that he was ready for the world stage, because he was the Pacific junior lightweight champion for not junior lightweight Pacific lightweight champion for a while. So even his contenders, even his competitions was like future world contenders to a certain degree. So I think with Shinobu thing, it was really just to show Japan itself that he's ready for the next stage. It's just like AJ Dante beating Ippo. He was the last step for the world stage. And sure, Dante did have one extra fight before he fought Ricardo Martinez, of course. But in the same like, just like how Ippo was like, oh, he could have beat Dante. Maybe he could have. Even the coach is just like, even in the end, it took all of it could out of me. When you hit the mat and I threw in the towel, I took everything out of me. I truly believe that he's going to win. Maybe Baron felt the exact same way Coach Kurogama did. They're two different characters. I'm not saying they're the same, but it's just maybe to a certain degree. Mashiba would have snapped in another timeline and it could have won. Because technically, like I was saying before, Baron had no plans for Sendo to actually win. And for Shinobu to actually win against Mashiba. So it's just like, who knows? It was mainly just to prove to Japan that he was ready for the world stage, not for the world itself. Like Shinobu would not be, hey, look, I beat Shinobu. Won't be like a good thing in his record. The match only lasts like 2 rounds? Pretty much like 2-3 rounds, that's it. So it's not like, hey look, Shinobu, you got it on your record, that's amazing. No. And Ippo just came out of the fight, and Sendo just came out of the fight with Freddy Gonzalez, and it's just like, the competition's not the same. But that's the thing, we haven't seen what type of competition Mashiba has been facing against. This is the same Grim Reaper, the same boogeyman from the featherweight class who ended so many people's careers. They started calling him the Grim Reaper. People were just voting this man like a plague when he needed a championship fight for the junior lightweight class. Only Sawamura Ryuhei, another beast, a demon from the darkest depths of Japan, rose up to take on the death god of Tokyo. Only he had the balls. This is a different breed. This is the darkness of Japan versus the shining Rocky Balboa of Japan. It's Takeshi Sendo versus Mashiba. And it's just, I don't know. I really don't know, mate. I really don't know how this fight would actually end, or who would actually take the match, because it's just, they're both great fighters, and they both have evolved to destroy each other. Mashiba, the in-fighter destroyer, Sendo, the outboxer destroyer. So it really just come down to when the chips are down and all like the main weapons are used up, who will win? Because Sendo does still have the greater punching power and the better endurance. And what do you rate Sendo and Ippo punching power? If Sendo's a 91, Ippo's like a 98. It's not that much more punching power where it's just like when Sendo hits, and it's not like when Sendo hit Gonzalez. When Sendo hits Gonzalez to hit him 3 times, one punch to Sendo, somehow he's evening it out. What's happening? Because you're a glass cannon, Gonzalez. So that's the way I see it with Ippo and Sendo's power. They're close, but they're not the same. But it comes down to endurance, crowd, and who has the will to win. Because not like these two guys hate each other or anything, so it would just be like who really truly won it. It'd be an interesting exhibition. It'd be an interesting showdown. Because obviously this fight could never happen now, but for the speculation of what if, and especially if they were to come into the best condition, what would the weigh-in be like? Because this is the same still just like, hey, what up to that babe Ippo was being with? You talking about Kumi? No, you idiot, you don't understand. What's just funny? Could you expect that Sendo would have Mashiba would have shut Sendo down about Sendo even calling Kumi babe? Like she sees a babe like that? I was expecting to just shut him down, but the fact that Mashiba's first reaction was, his first initial subconscious thought was, no, Sendo, that's my sister trying to be with Ippo. It's just, hell, look, Mashiba came around after all. Some pep pop in Itagaki, and Mashiba was just like, do whatever you want. As you can tell, I think I enjoy this stuff too much, but It'll be a very interesting showdown. I was gonna sit here and say who would win, but just seeing the spectacle of the fight itself will be all I need. It wouldn't even matter who wins. It wouldn't, because it seems that Sendo just eating punches. It's just like just retaliate and just seem to go back to each other. And the dual exchange, the right cross versus the chopping right of Mashiba versus the knuckle drop from Sendo. My God, like seriously, Sendo's knuckle drop is thrown so damn hard that every single time he hits the mat, when he did against Jose, and we're back. And the only reason Sendo's hand broke against Jose Nargo, because first he hit Mashiba's Pacific Championship belt, and then he hit the mat. When he hit the mat against Gonzalez, he didn't even break his hand. Like seriously, that's my God. And just like the clenched fist, he just I'm a kid. But then again, Mashiba's body is not even his weakness. It's just an excuse to hit his chin. Same thing with Kimura and Korigama were open up. He got gaps in his guard, hit him to his body and across his chin. But this is not the same Mashiba now. He parries attacks now. He's throwing out feints, and it's just. And also another thing, Sendo could also do feints. So just the initial matchup, who knows how it would go? There's so many possibilities, and I could be here for centuries, but my God, this would be a fight I would pay for. This is some good stuff right here. Too bad it would never. Maybe someone can make a fan manga or some shit. 'Cause this is, my God, I pay good money for this. But everybody, boy, Shockwave King, I don't know your thoughts or opinion. Do you believe the Grim Reaper of Tokyo can beat the Naniwa Tiger who just recently slain the Mexican Death God? Is it possible? Well, it'd be Booming Shockwave King. Hope you guys liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and do the usual now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the description down below. Now, peace.